So hi everybody there, and this is the last video, the third part. I think the last. Maybe if I have something more to think about this, I will make something more, but this is the third video about the 3D Porsche 917K in 1/12 scale, and this was the last box, this was the last box of the parts, the small parts where you really see the miracle coming to life, because this is I think this is the easiest part to detail, because anyway, Chris provide a lot of small tiny details, very well done. And also here, for example, this is the covering of the motor with the propeller. That is not the propeller, that is the base of the propeller, because the real propeller was I think I've seen it before between the parts. I guess it should be not here. Well, I crossed it before. Is a real. There it is. There it is. This is the real propeller that you have to place there over the. It was the upper fan of the motor. So this is, as usual, you have to clean a little bit more in the inner side, where it was probably the beginning of the mold of the printing process started. With all that little pins. But it's always studied in a very clever way, because you always hide this part in the way that you don't have to do it on the part that remain exposed to the look of the viewer. And I have always this problem here with this light. The wheels are extremely well done. In the picture I didn't get it because it was not so easy to spot the pattern of the wheel. It is kind of critical stuff if you look at some models made by also very talented guys like Paolo De Vaudier, the modeler for Ferraris in 112. He had to create his own laser printed pattern to recreate the wheels, and it is one of the best way ever. But this is quite convincing. The 917 didn't have a pattern that was deeply engraved like the ordinary street cars, and from all the pictures that I get it online, you was looking from this point of view, so you cannot absolutely understand if there was or not a pattern. I think the replica car, and also in the classic events and so on, they used to feature also slick tires coming from Formula 1 cars, but the originals had the pattern, because for regulation they had to add the ordinary pattern for street use, plus a spare wheel that was always curious, inside a sports car, because this was basically an extra rim to make weight with a kind of unpumped up tire. It was a kind of rubber that they had around it, just for regulation. They had to carry spare wheels, and this one in the 917, it is placed on the very last part over the gearbox in the engine bay of the model. There is also provided the two couple of the snakes coming from the 6 cylinders, left and right banks, as well as you have very nicely well done this time caliber, not because they want to molded over the front part of the car or not, but because they are absolutely less visible than this. Instead, this one are really well done. I think the project is basically the same that you used in the front part, but it is much more clean because it is an independent printing, of the part. And also a really well detailed gearbox. This is a masterpiece, to make this part in 112. As usual, and for me is also a very good idea. So he also placed a lot of part over for molded in a single piece, so it's up to the modeler to decide if you want just to paint it, because being so big scale is not this big issue, to paint every part, even if they are already printed together, so it's not this big issue. This is the battery, and the duct for the cooling of the gearbox. It was a part coming from the inner side of the rear hatch. The same, for the wheels, also the front wheel, they are of course divided into pieces. The Fuchs rim inside is really well done. I think you probably just need to add the valve for the wheel, but that is nothing. It's something that you can absolutely make looking at the picture. Fits quite easy also inside the part. I prefer to place the rim inside. For that reason, I told you before that with this model you always have the feeling that the resin is making its own catalyzation even longer after the end of the printing process. So I prefer to give it the shape inside, keeping the rim really in the position. Of course, it's not fitted completely inside the position, but just to keep the properly round shape of the wheel, you know. Other debris part, this is the coverings, you know, of the side under the doors going to the end of the lower part of the car. And as you can see, there is also a little that of course was calculated, you know, a little wider part going to the end, to the rear part of the vehicle, you know. So these two parts, here it is, quite easy to fix, you know. This should be, probably will require absolutely some little work to fix, because this is a point that cover 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 parts of the model completely, you know. And this is the rear spoiler that this version of the 917 had between the two parts of the rear cowl of the spoiler, you know. So the final part of the spoiler, some car used to have this extra little spoiler between that. It is not a big issue that this part is a little bit folded. Look the how thin it is, the side part of the spoiler. So it's not a problem to cut it away and remake it in plastic, or even better in metal or in aluminum. He provided the two steering wheel. This I don't know why. Seems there is no difference between them. Probably because one is a little better molded. You know, this is all sensitive parts, so it's very easy to get them wrinkled and to give a bad impression of the model if it is not looking correct. You know, but I think both of them look quite decent. You know, it's very easy to keep them straight, so not a big issue. And also here you have a very then it will become really vital to have the instruction sheet like it did in the book that I showed you in the previous video, where you can really see all the details. This little one, the distribution, the ignition and so on, they are absolutely well done. Absolutely well done. You know, working in a big scale now, it became really the miracle coming to life. This is, I think, a full tanker, part of the fuel tanker on the side of the engine bay, you know, inside the engine bay. There is a lot of documentation, plenty of documentation. The final part is, of course, the seats. You know, there is no bucklers provided. I think is also very good this way, because it's quite easy to make by your own. In 112K you make them usually in tissue with the real bucklers working, you know, so it's really easy to fix this final part. And this was the second the second seat for some regulation they had to have inside the cockpit, together with the real main seat of the racer, you know. That was this one, you know. Of course there is a referring pin to place it in the proper position. It's a great job, you know. I absolutely think this is a great job. This is the overall detailed parts of what's the final part. There is a mold mode that I will not show you, because you already seen that in the instruction sheet. They are really well done, wrapped and not to damage it. That is about the vacuum forming parts of the transparents. That is another critical point of the model, because it's one part that is absolutely visible at the end, so you have to work extremely clean in that part and make it work really precise when you cut it from the part in vacuum form, you know. But it's not so big issue. I think Complexively is an amazing model, so I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to grab one, because, you know, this is a model that I don't think is so easy to find time by time, also because it's not one of the series that Christian made printed in resin. This was made by his own 3D printer resin, so it was not the ordinary yellow resin of the model, so it is not something that have silicone moldings that you can ask for a modern copy and make it. Also, I remember when I ordered the model, I had to wait a little bit more, because he made a full checking of the part. Remember, he is a modeler, so he absolutely knows what he's doing and what he's selling, and he had to make an overall check of the part, and he told me that there was some part missing, of course, so he needs some time. Every part of this one takes some hours to be made by the printer, you know, to give me a complete model. I think it's a stunning model. It's absolutely fantastic kit. The subject is a legend by itself, you know. If you love the motorsport of the golden age, this is absolutely a masterpiece to have, and it's impossible to miss it. So if you can grab one, grab all the model that he makes, because this is fantastic stuff. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one.